Have you ever stood in front of a skyscraper and wonder, should I say this building is high or tall?
Wait, Maya, I do this all the time. I just use whichever one pops into my head first.
And that is exactly why we're doing this episode today, because 90% of English learners treat high and tall like they're interchangeable, but they're not. And once you learn the rule, it's going to click forever.
Okay, I'm ready. Hit me with it.
All right, Leo, picture this. You're at a party. Someone asks you about your brother. You say, he's very high. What do you think?
Oh no. That sounds like he's on something, like drugs.
Exactly. And that is the exact mistake that happens when you use hide for a person's height. When we talk about people, we use tall always. My brother is very tall, not high.
Okay, but what about a building? Can a building be both? Like, that building is high and that building is tall? Both feel right to me.
Great question. And you're right, both can work, but there's a subtle difference. We use tall when we're talking about something that is narrow and vertical, something that has height from bottom to top. A person, a tree, a building, a flagpole, these are all tall things.
Okay, so tall is for things that stand up.
Exactly. Now, high is different. High measures distance from the ground. So a mountain is high because we're talking about its elevation above sea level. A plane is high in the sky. A price is high because it's above a normal level.
So, a skyscraper is tall, but a mountain is high?
You got it. See, a skyscraper is a man-made structure that stands up vertically. It's tall. But a mountain is a natural formation that rises above the land. We say Mount Everest is very high. We don't say Mount Everest is very tall.
Really? I've heard people say tall mountain before.
You know what? Some native speakers do say tall mountain in casual conversation. But here's the thing, it sounds a bit odd to most native ears. The standard natural way to describe a mountain is high. And here's why. A mountain is wide. It's not narrow and vertical like a person or a tree. It spreads out, so the word tall, which implies narrowness and verticality, doesn't fit perfectly.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. So tall is for narrow things that go up, and high is for measuring distance from the ground.
Now let me give you a mental picture. Imagine a tall glass of water. What do you see?
I see a thin, tall glass.
Right. Now imagine a wide, shallow bowl. That bowl is not tall at all. Even if you lift it up high in the air, it's still a wide, shallow bowl. It's not tall.
Okay, I'm seeing it.
So tall describes the shape of the thing itself. High describes where it is in space. Let's test this. Leo, is a child tall or high?
A child is tall because they're a person.
Perfect. Is a kite in the sky tall or high?
The kite is high because it's up in the air.
Beautiful. Now, what about a bookshelf?
A bookshelf is tall, I think. It stands up from the floor to the ceiling.
Correct. A bookshelf is a piece of furniture that goes from low to high. It's tall. And if you put something on the top shelf, that something is high because it's at a high position.
Oh, I see the pattern now. The bookshelf itself is tall, but the book on the top shelf is high.
Exactly. And this is where it gets really practical, because in real life, we use these words in very specific combinations. Let me give you some high-frequency collocations.
High-frequency collocations?
Words that naturally go together. For example, we say high price, not tall price.
Oh, I've heard learners say tall price before.
Yes, and it sounds really off to native speakers, because a price isn't something that stands up from the ground. It's a number that is above average. So we say high price, high cost, high temperature, high speed.
High temperature, high speed. Got it.
Now let's talk about people. This is where learners from different language backgrounds make different mistakes. For example, Spanish speakers, in Spanish you can use alto for both height and high things. So a Spanish speaker might translate directly and say, he is very high, when they mean he is very tall.
I can see that. In Spanish, alto does double duty.
Exactly. And Chinese speakers in Chinese go hao gao is used for both. So a Chinese learner might say, that mountain is very tall, or he is very high. Both are influenced by the native language.
So what about Arabic speakers?
In Arabic, the word direzi, towawe, can mean both tall in height and long in length. So an Arabic speaker might use tall for things that are actually long, like a tall road or a tall movie.
Oh, that's interesting. So the mistakes are different depending on where you're from.
Yes, and that's why it's so important to understand the core rule tall, narrow, vertical, high distance from ground, or above average level. If you remember that, you'll avoid most mistakes.
Okay, let me practice. What about a tree?
Tree is tall. It grows from the ground upward. It's narrow relative to its height.
What about a wall?
Interesting one. A wall, we usually say a high wall. Because a wall is wide, not narrow, it extends horizontally. So we say a high wall, not a tall wall.
Wait, really? I would have said tall wall.
Many learners do, but think about it, a wall is like a wide barrier. It's not narrow and vertical like a person. So we say a high wall. The prisoners couldn't escape because the wall was too high.
Okay, that makes sense. What about a basketball player?
Basketball player is a person. So tall, LeBron James is very tall.
What about the basketball hoop?
The hoop itself is not tall. The hoop is at a certain height. So we say the basketball hoop is 10 feet high, not 10 feet tall.
Oh, that's a good one. So the player is tall, but the hoop is high.
Perfect. Now here's a tricky one. What about a skyscraper? We said it's tall, but can it also be high?
I think you can say both, but they mean different things.
Exactly right. That building is tall describes the building itself. It's a narrow vertical structure. That building is high up in the mountains. Now we're describing the location of the building, not the building itself.
So tall is about the object, high is about the position.
You've got it. Now let me give you another common mistake. Learners often say, I have a high fever, which is correct, by the way. High fever is a natural collocation. But then they say, I am tall for their own height, which is also correct.
So far, so good.
But then they might say, the doctor's office is very tall, meaning the building, the correct word is tall for the building. But wait, the doctor's office on the 20th floor, that office is high up. See the difference?
Yes. The office itself is high because it's at a high position in the building.
Now here's a cultural point that surprises a lot of learners. In English, we use tall for people, but we also use tall for, wait for it, a tall order.
A tall order? Like ordering food?
No, a tall order is an idiom. It means a request that is very difficult to fulfill. He asked me to finish the project in one day. That's a tall order.
Oh, so the word tall can mean difficult.
In that idiom, yes, but not in general. The idea is that something tall is something that is hard to reach or overcome. So a tall order is a request that is hard to fulfill.
It's really interesting. I never knew that.
And we also have high expectations. When you expect a lot from someone, you have high expectations, not tall expectations.
Right, because it's a level, not a shape.
Now let's do a little practice round. I'm going to give you a sentence, and you tell me if it's correct or not. Ready?
Ready.
Mount Fuji is a tall mountain.
That's incorrect because mountains are wide, not narrow. So it should be a high mountain.
Correct. But here's the thing. Some native speakers do say tall mountain in casual speech. It's not grammatically wrong, but it's less common and can sound slightly off. The natural choice is high mountain.
Okay, next one.
She has a tall fever.
Definitely wrong. Fever is a level, so it should be high fever.
Great. Next. That's a high building.
That one is acceptable, but tall building sounds more natural.
Exactly right. High building is not incorrect, but native speakers overwhelmingly prefer tall building because the building itself is a vertical structure.
What about that building is 50 stories high?
That's interesting. When we use a measurement, we often say high. How high is that building? Is a natural question. But if someone answers, they might say it's a very tall building. So measurement uses height, description uses tall.
Oh, that's subtle, but I think I get it.
Let's do one more. I want to buy a car with tall speed.
Wrong. Speed is a level, so high speed.
Perfect. Now here's a question for you. What's the opposite of tall?
Short.
And what's the opposite of hide?
Low.
Exactly. And this is the simplest way to check. If the opposite is short, use tall. If the opposite is low, use hide.
That's a great rule.
Let's test it. A person, opposite is short, so we say tall person. A price, opposite is low, so we say high price.
A building, opposite is short, so tall building.
A temperature, opposite is low, so high temperature.
This is so much easier than I thought.
Now I want to give you one more advanced tip. In English, we also use tall to talk about stories or tales. A tall tale is a story that is exaggerated or unbelievable.
Like, he told a tall tale about catching a fish as big as a car.
Exactly, and that's different from high hopes, which means strong optimism. I have high hopes for this project.
So tall is for stories that are unbelievable, and high is for expectations that are strong.
Now let's talk about the most common mistake that learners from all backgrounds make. Are you ready?
Hit me.
A tall price.
Ouch. I hear that one a lot.
It's everywhere, and it sounds very unnatural. Price is never tall. Price is high or low, so memorize this phrase, high price. Say it 3 times.
High price, high price, high price.
Now another one, tall quality.
I've heard that too.
High quality is correct, not tall quality. Quality is a standard, not a shape.
High quality. Got it.
Here's a fun fact. In some dialects of English, especially in certain parts of the UK, people do use tall for mountains and hills. But in standard American English, we use high.
So if I'm learning American English, I should stick with high mountain.
Exactly. Now let me give you the big picture. The reason learners mix up high and tall is that in many languages, one word does the job of both. English has 2 separate words with 2 separate jobs. Once you accept that, it becomes much easier.
So what's the most important thing to remember?
Here's your takeaway. If it's a person, a tree, a building, something that stands up from the ground and is narrow, use tall. If it's a measurement, a level, a price, a temperature, a position in the sky, use high.
And if I'm not sure?
Ask yourself, does the opposite of this word feel like short or low? If it's short, use tall. If it's low, use high.
Short versus low. That's gonna stick with me.
And remember, you will never sound natural if you say a tall price or a tall fever. Those are the mistakes that immediately tell native speakers you're still learning.
This has been incredibly helpful. I feel like I'll never mix these up again.
That's the goal. Now here's your challenge for the week. Pay attention to every time you hear someone use high or tall. In a song, a movie, a conversation, notice which one they use and ask yourself, is this describing a shape or a level?
That's a great exercise.
And if you want more episodes like this, hit that subscribe button. We put out a new episode every single day, vocabulary deep dives like this one, grammar tips, cultural insights, and real-life conversations.
And if you have a word pair that confuses you, leave it in the comments. Maya and I will cover it in a future episode.
Until next time, keep practicing. And remember, speak like a native.
See you next time.